Drop it. Yeah.
Hello and welcome not only to our first tutorial video but also to our first English video. For this tutorial we're going to see how to overclock a non-K Skylake CPU. The non-K CPUs, the only non-K CPUs overclockable today are the Skylake, with a special BIOS released several years ago. So for doing that we're going to need a special motherboard, that is whatever Intel Z170 motherboard. It's not so special, but it is, because there are many motherboards with many chipsets for the Skylake CPUs. There are the Z, the H, the B, the B110, the H170, H150, and many to go. But the only chipset that allows in a certain way an overclockable thing, so the Skylake CPUs, non-K CPUs, is the chipset with Z170. So for today we're going to see how to overclock my personal i5 6500 and how to push it to 4.5 gigahertz. For 4.5 it's good enough, I could say, for not saying it's very good overclock, but it's a good enough overclock, and it's a great but very great CPU. So without further ado, let's go and have a look on how to do it.
Okay, so first things first, to be enabled to overclock the non-K CPU, Skylake CPU, we'll need to download some things. One of them is the BIOS for your chipset. You will find the link in the description of the video, with links for downloading every tool and every tool you need, and every application you need, even the BIOS and everything else. So you'll need to find the BIOS of your motherboard, whether it's an Asus or an ASRock or Gigabyte or anything it is, with the Z170 chipset. And the other thing we need to download is the hardware info tool. That's very neat tool, because once you'll overclock your CPU, your non-K Skylake CPU, you will not be able anymore to see the temperature, to read the temperature of your processor, of your CPU. So then we'll need something, a special tool, a special program, to application or app, or call it whatever you want, for doing that. So the tool, it's called hardware info. You'll find it in the link you'll find the link in the description. And the other things is the Uefi Tool for flashing your BIOS. If you're not if you cannot flash your BIOS by just putting the BIOS in your USB driver and flash it from your BIOS, you cannot flash a previous version of the BIOS you have. So if you have a newer BIOS than the one you're trying to put in, you will not be able to flash it. So you'll need the Uefi tool and the flash programming tool. So let's go and see how to do this. So first of all, open the Uefi tool and load the BIOS, the ROM file, the cap file to our Uefi tool, and just click it and click action, then click capsule and extract body. Just give it a name, doesn't matter, it's every name is okay. Then you have to open a command prompt with administrator rights and navigate to your FPT directory. Just do as I did in the picture below. Okay, once you get the FPT operation successful, you just flashed your BIOS and you're ready to go with the overclocking guide. Okay, so once you reach the BIOS, just go under the advanced mode and advanced again, CPU configuration, scroll down until CPU power management configuration, open it and disable Intel speed step and turbo mode. CPU C states, you can leave it right there, it doesn't really matter at all. You can leave it enabled, disabled, it doesn't matter. So turn back to a twerker, overclock overclock tuner, just pick the XMP. Yeah, doesn't matter, so yes. Now the XMP, it's load and it's showing us that it's an XMP DDR4 2400. The base clock or the bus clock frequency is set to 100, and we'll turn back to this later. Now let's go to the DRAM frequency and just pick your RAM frequency. Mine it's a 2400, so I'll just leave it like that. It doesn't really matter. Now let's go to oh yeah, just disable the power saving mode, it doesn't interest us. Go to CPU power management and disable again if it's not disabled. The CPU core cache current limit max, type whatever you want. The limit max is 255.50, so it doesn't really matter whatever you type, she will go to her maximum. Now CPU core cache voltage, you have to set it to manual mode, and notice that in this moment we have 1.104 volts, and I recommend you to go to the manual, not offset for now, because we're doing a 24/7 overclock. Don't be shy to overclock it, and don't be afraid. I would highly recommend to begin with 1.1 or 1.50. I'll go with 1.3, and for me it's just fine because I want a high overclock. And now let's sync the cores, or in my case I'll do CPU core ratio for any core, and I'm doing the max limit of 32, and that's my my personal i5 6500 core limit. It's 32, and you'll notice in the right that's it's right in there, so just type whatever it's right in there and you'll be just fine. Now you see our target CPU turbo mode frequency, it's 32 because it's 100 base clock for 32 times, and it's 3200 megahertz. Now just change the BCLK, the boost clock, the base clock frequency to 120 or 140 40, and notice that the target CPU turbo mode frequency changed and will also change. Now just type whatever you want. I highly recommend to begin with something less overclocked, like 3.8 gigahertz will be enough for the start, for the beginning. And I don't know, just make a test, make a run test after every overclock you make, and then turn back and see if everything is okay. You can overclock it a little bit more, or if it's not okay, you can overclock it a little bit less than whatever you do. I will go with 4.5 gigahertz, and I think this is okay for me. The 142 for the boost clock, and that's it. Just exit, save, and let's go and see if everything is okay. Okay, here we are, and seems like everything is okay with boot, with no problems. And yeah, it doesn't matter. Now let's run for the first things, the hardware info. Run it. Just run with sensors only, doesn't matter. Okay, so now you can see in here that you can I highly recommend to keep an eye on the temperatures, the current, and the maximum. The minimum, it doesn't really matter because no one cares with the minimum. You can see the ring clock. Oh, okay. And the ring clock is 4.5. And for the second thing, you have to run a test of your CPU and see if it's stable, if everything is okay. Just run any kind of CPU test that will stress it. And you have to keep an eye on the temperature right now because it's going to rise up very fast. Let's hope everything is okay. If this one passed and will not go above 70 degrees or 80 degrees, you should be just fine. 50, it's more than fine. 50 degrees. You can see our temperature is rising and going up and going down and stuff like that. You can see now we are running 4.5 gigahertz stable with no problems. You can use Prime 95 or whatever application you want. Just keep an eye on the temperature. You can see here it's Core i5 6500. So we're not joking, it's 4.5 gigahertz on an i5 6500. So let's keep forward until the end of the test and see how it runs. So it performed very well. You can see in here we have let's see, 9599. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So the mid-range of the CPUs are in here. Our CPU should be a mid-range CPU, but we in this moment are in the high-end CPUs. You can see we have here, for the comparison, an i5 4580, I think. No, it's a 90. And I have to tell, this is a very big difference. In the single thread, we have beaten the i7, not only the i5 but even the i7 and the AMD FX processors, and the I can tell this is a pretty nice run and a very decent overclock. So if you enjoyed this video, just leave a comment and thumbs up, and I don't know, just enjoy it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.